The dream of immigrating and studying in America is collapsing with Trump's new decisions in 2025. Since his return to the White House at the beginning of 2025, Trump began his assault on the immigration issue, making aggressive decisions that were rejected by a segment of the population. Since his return to the White House in January 2025, Donald Trump started implementing an aggressive agenda regarding immigration, in a clear repetition of the policies he pursued during his first term. But what distinguishes this new term is that he began making decisions that are more direct and confrontational, especially towards international students and undocumented immigrants, which has once again raised fundamental questions about America's future as an educational and humanitarian destination. In this video, we will delve into the most prominent of these measures and analyze their background as well as their legal and social implications. So these are a series of decisions made by Donald Trump that do not concern only Arabs or Islamic countries, but also affect even allied European countries. For Trump, when it comes to both legal and illegal immigration, the matter is the same according to a number of international media outlets. Now let's take a closer look at the measures that Trump has taken to further tighten the scrutiny of student visas, as well as to monitor their social media accounts. One of the measures that caused the most concern among international students was the decision by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, under direct orders from President Trump, to temporarily suspend student visa interviews at U.S. embassies until new protocols are implemented that rely on comprehensive electronic bulletin reviews. In other words, monitoring students' social media accounts before granting them a visa. The decision was described by the UMA organization as an invasion of privacy that contradicts the principles of free education. This measure has actually affected thousands of students and caused unprecedented delays in the start of studies for many admitted students. Trump believes that student visas are fake visas taken by people who are actually trying to immigrate to America for work, but to disguise their intentions, they apply for a student visa. Visas for study purposes. This is the reasoning on which these decisions were based, serving as the main foundation for the choices that were ultimately made. But other justifications were also given, such as the large number of students who obtain visas or green cards to study or work in the United States. That is why Trump made these decisions. The second decision is the suspension of the DACA program for young immigrants. In an unexpected and highly controversial move, Trump issued an executive order to halt the renewal of DACA permits, which are intended to protect so-called dreamers, undocumented immigrants who originally came to America as children. The decision sparked a wave of anger among activists and students, as around 600,000 young men and women are now at serious risk of deportation. However, a federal court in New York quickly intervened and issued an urgent judicial order to immediately halt the decision, describing its cancellation as arbitrary and legally unjustified. And as we've seen with most of the decisions we've discussed so far in this episode, Trump does not care about the moral, humanitarian, or legal aspects. What matters to Trump are just the numbers. We know that his election campaign was built on such issues. The third decision is the reactivation of the Remain in Mexico policy. As part of tightening asylum policies, Trump announced the reactivation of the Remain in Mexico policy, which had been cancelled during Biden's term. This policy forces asylum seekers from Latin American countries to wait in Mexican territory until their cases are processed in U.S. courts, which exposes them to the risk of violence and exploitation. According to reports from organizations such as Amnesty International, the Trump administration justified this return as a way to ease pressure on the border. And regarding this particular third decision, it turns out that many Americans actually do agree with it. And in fact, they strongly demand its implementation, considering the US-Mexico border to be one of the biggest headaches for the American economy and politics. There is the far right. There are also anti-immigration advocates in America who believe that the border with Mexico should be managed firmly and strictly. The fourth decision is to restrict international students in American universities. In an unprecedented development, Trump issued directives to the Department of Education to set a maximum limit for the number of foreign students in American universities not to exceed 15% of the total number of students. The decision specifically targeted major universities such as Harvard and Stanford, and also included revoking Harvard University's license to admit international students. This prompted the university administration to turn to the federal court, which temporarily suspended the decision. So these decisions do not all go through so easily, and as we have seen, some decisions, when implemented, face difficulties and problems that also drag them into the courts. But Trump remains determined to subdue anyone who opposes him and to implement these decisions. And what are the repercussions of these decisions on the global reputation of American education? These measures have negatively affected the image of the United States around the world, as educational institutions have witnessed a significant decline in applications from Asian and European students. The Atlantic newspaper considered that these policies will deprive America of young minds who represent the true engine of innovation. Preliminary data from the Open Doors program also showed a significant 17% decrease in student visa applications compared to previous years. So, just as these decisions made by the Trump administration have positive effects and benefits for America, they also have negative impacts and consequences as well, including the fact that America benefited greatly from what we commonly refer to as the brain drain phenomenon. These are brilliant minds who contribute to America's economic, political, social, scientific, technical, and even technological sectors, and they have played a major role in America's progress in various fields. This group of immigrants and students represents the elite, or at least the elite are selected from among them, and they help America advance in many areas. And in international reactions, Belgium is defending its students. The decision to ban international students has affected prominent figures such as Belgian Princess Elizabeth, who is studying at Harvard University. The Belgian government lodged an official protest, considering the decision to be discrimination based on nationality. This reaction was documented and reported. This was reflected in the European press, which saw Trump's decision as an attack on global academic openness. So, as we mentioned, these measures and these decisions have negative internal repercussions and negative external consequences. And the reputation that America has acquired because of these decisions does not bode well, especially with its allies, with the European Union and European countries. And also America's reputation as a democratic and humanitarian country. Let us move to the legal and political aspect. So how does the administration justify these policies? President Trump and his team justified these measures by saying they are necessary to protect national security and prevent extremist ideas from infiltrating American university campuses. But legal experts refuted these claims, pointing out that most of these policies violate legal and constitutional norms, especially since the American Constitution guarantees equality and non-discrimination. So in summary or conclusion, we see that Trump is determined to launch an attack on immigration. it is expected that there will be even stricter decisions regarding immigration, especially legal immigration, including green cards, which are granted to those who want to live and also fulfill their dreams of studying and working in America. So what will happen in the future? This is what we will explore with you in upcoming episodes, God willing.